everybody. Thank you for joining me at Infamous Horrors today. And I'll start with you, Miss Cherry Delight. What got you interested in this kind of genre of music?
Oh God. Well, I'm a Scorpio. My birthday is November 4th. I have always felt like a Halloween gatekeeper. Still kind of shamelessly am. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. But I mean, I've always loved dark stuff, dark music, and I've always felt, very tongue-in-cheek about it. I've always loved music that has like a little, Easter egg or a little
Right.
joke, or if you know, you know, kind of a thing. And um, I mean, I've been professionally singing my whole life. I mean, I would say that like professionally singing, I would say about 21 years now. And I started off singing, classical stuff, and then I moved on to jazz. I had a very extensive education in jazz, and I would say that those are the things of the foundation of my rock voice, and it really has helped with my expressiveness when I sing in my storytelling. And I think that I mean, I always loved singing rock, and I had a show. I was a burlesque performer for a long time. I had a show called Cherry Melodies where I would do a variety of different songs of many different genres while performers did their thing. And I decided I wanted to do a version of the show that was just rock and metal. So we had it go from Cherry Melodies to Cherry Hellities. And once I did Cherry Hellities, that was my first real big sold out show. And I really felt like, wow, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then later on that year, I, you know, I was talking to Guar a little bit. They had me be a character for their comic book series called Orgasmageddon, and they had me help develop this Estrogena character. And I appeared at Coast City Comics in Maine and also at Five Points Fest in Brooklyn. And I got a ton of fan art, and I got like people from all over the place like saying, yes, we need like a hardcore like female in Guar again. And like, it was, but I didn't want to do it,
Right.
want to belong to I don't want to belong to anything but me. This is kind of also why I left Circle and the Square Theater School. Like I had been working my whole life towards being on Broadway. And then I realized once I got to school on Broadway, just my brain screaming, I do not want to fucking do this. It just it was important for me to go so I could understand that, get the fuck out of there and then do my own thing. I don't
Yeah.
want to be in the fucking Music Man, for Christ's sake. No, thank you. You have to do all these shows to get to do what you want to do. And I'm not about to waste my fucking time. I want to do what I want to do the whole time. I don't want to suffer to get to where I am. I mean, of course you suffered. You
Oh,
suffered
yeah. Every day. Yeah.
without being in the Music Man. You suffered in something else. But, it was kind of all these doors that either, well, I closed the doors myself, but just by saying no thanks, no thanks, no thanks. And my mentor, Bambi the Mermaid, had said to me, you really don't need someone else's project to make your dreams come true, because you've learned so much along the way that you have the skills and the tools to just do it yourself. You can make your own world. Would you rather be a footnote in someone else's story, or would you rather be the main attraction, the main person who is guiding you into this world? Like if Miss Cherry Delight had one thing to say, like what would it be? Have you ever thought of that? And I was on my way to my job at the time, and I was on the L train, and I took out the note section of my phone, and I said, what would Miss Cherry Delight say? And then I started writing lyrics down, and 20 minutes later, by the time I got to Union Square, I had written pretty much the outline, like the basic lyrics for Cherry Blood. And I contacted my friend Mike Forzano, who then later became my rhythm guitarist, bass player, Thunder Beast in our band now. And at the time I had said, I think I wrote a song. What comes next? And he said, contact Justin. He's an amazing producer, amazing guitar player. You two are gonna create amazing stuff. And 6 days later, I did. And the rest is history. We laid down Cherry Blood in like 2 days. And I remember when we were done, I was like, yes, this is the song I'll be remembered for. And
That's always an awesome feeling, right?
What'd you say?
And that's always an awesome feeling, right?
Oh my God. Yeah, that was my first song ever. And then I was on the M train, and the second song that I ever wrote happened to be the 31st. And now, you know, how many years later, Mr. Ghost Stories has created an amazing remix for us. This is actually the first remix that you started on, like back in the day, and then
literally 1 week before the EP Evidence release show. Literally, yeah. Like we rehearsed at Coney that Thursday. I started it that Monday. I remember showing
that was May 4th, 2019 then, because the release day was May 11th, 2019.
It's almost hard to believe that's 3 years ago now, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
What the hell? What is time?
So this is for the three of you. How interesting do you find it to kind of market CannibalTok on TikTok? Because that's really not going to be for everybody, right? It's much more of a niche marketing. So how do you guys find ways to kind of market yourselves and kind of get yourselves trending on TikTok as well?
Well, I'm the TikTok person. These two just kind of look at what I'm doing and they're like, okay, that's what Cherry's doing today, I guess. I mean, CannibalTok was a thing for me trolling people because, you know, I didn't have a lot of TikTok views at first, and I really wanted people to understand the Miss Cherry Delight character. So I was really going full ham on the full character and not really showing me, the me that you're talking to right now. And so there was a stitch that I did where someone said, what's a piece of information that you know that feels illegal to know? And I've read a lot about cannibal stuff. You know, when I grew up, I was obsessed with the Broadway Sweeney Todd with Angela Lansbury. So I had just read a lot of stuff about cannibal stuff. So I talked about how supposedly human flesh does not taste like pork. It tastes like a very sweet kind of beef. And infant flesh supposedly tastes more like the consistency of fish. So I did this video, I was just speaking off the cuff in a scientific way. The internet fucking exploded. People were sending me death threats, all kinds of shit. It got so many views. It was my first viral video, and it was viral for like 2 or 3 months. Just tons of people saying, how do you know? Blah, 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 blah. So I decided that to troll these people who really would think that I was a cannibal. First of all, if you're an actual cannibal, you're not going to say shit like that online. You know? So the people who really believed that I was a cannibal, I decided to troll them and create a series of videos called CannibalTok. Cannibal T-O-K, like TikTok. Right. So I created a bunch of videos of me just like really tongue-in-cheek hamming that up to really get people riled up, for anyone who's particularly lacking in this department. just to make him a little like crazier. And it was really helping. But then it got to be to a point where it was getting to be like way too much. I'm like, whoa, 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 listen, this is not real, dudes. Like, I just love like true crime stuff. And
Right.
then it became CannibalTok became a movement in terms of you can educate yourself on creepy shit and not be an actual creep. How about that? Like,
Right.
you can be aware of what people are capable of doing and be a normal, decent human fucking being. Like, just knowing about stuff doesn't mean that you're bad. Like, hello, like, we're allowed to be educated.
That's why I know the correct temperature to baste an infant.
That is why. See, this is what I'm talking about.
It's just knowledge.
And ghost stories. What kind of inspired you to do that remix of Miss Cherry Delight's song to begin with? I mean, something had to resonate with you within that song for you to be like, you know what, I want to try this with it as well.
Well, I'm in their band, and we've been rehearsing it for a while. And after a while of just hearing it like over and over again, my brain like starts to kind of like make a map of the song, and I'm kind of like, okay, so here's what happens at this part, here's what happens at this part, here's what happens at this part, and I'm looking like, okay, why does this song work? How do the parts sort of like fit together to create this thing? And then I see where the empty spaces are, and I'm like, what if I try that? And then what if I try that? And it just keeps going, and then I'm like, oh, I guess I have this now.
Right. And this is for all three of you as well. Have you all been interested in this kind of genre of music, like this dark gothic universe? Like Sherry, you already talked about you always have been, but for you two, have you always been kind of involved with this genre? Is this kind of a new experience for you two?
Oh, it's definitely not new for me. I didn't. It wasn't. It wasn't the first music I got into producing, but I definitely think that if you are compelled to scare people or unsettle people or surprise people with the sounds you make as a producer, I think at some point when you're doing your research, you go back and you get drawn to avant-garde and thoughtful and sort of surprising sounds, right? So, I was jazz trained and into hip hop and soul and sort of what I would consider sort of educated and pretty sounds. And then I got into DJ Spooky from hip hop and heard interesting samples in there that were sort of outside of the realm of what most of the cut and paste sort of DJs at that time were doing. It took me down the road of late 80s post-punk, of all kinds of deconstructed electronic genres, and eventually brought me to the sounds of industrial music, right? Which I've always had a love-hate relationship with, to be completely honest, because I can't always connect to the subject matter, not because it's dark, but just because I think it can sometimes sound a little stupid. So I'm always drawn to like the really kind of like pioneers or the first ones in any particular subgenre of industrial or dark music, because I think that there's a kind of a purity of intention there that makes it makes me not feel like I want to laugh, but instead actually maybe preserve some of that original feeling of totally hearing something new and maybe being a little bit shocked, right?
Right.
There is a scene now that I'm only kind of delving into learning about, of sort of internet famous black metal. Um, and I don't know if you would call this artist that necessarily, but they're called Juke Geit. And it's like microtonal, very, very noisy. So,
Yeah.
mixing what I would say the lo-fi aesthetic and sort of an internet aesthetic, for lack of a better term, with screamed vocals and genuine sort of classical microtonal understanding. I mean, these are like interlocking parts that are outside of Western harmony. And I put this on, the only reason I bring it up, I put it on for somebody the other day and I said, hey, this is actually evil music. It's not like a cartoon version of it. Like this will actually scare you, right? There's something
Yeah.
a real, if you wanted like an actual sound that would conjure an actual existing demon, this could actually get it, right? And so that sort of like feeling, it doesn't last forever, right? You get bored of it, and then you've got to keep feeding the beast, and you need more stuff. But I've always been drawn to that feeling, that totally unsettled. One, I haven't heard it before. Two, I'm a little bit scared, right? And I always wanted to add that to my repertoire. And in some ways, I think that makes me a sort of less efficient producer. I get bored with myself. I get bored with genres and whole artists and whole ideas. I get bored really quickly.
Right. And you always want to evolve your music as you go along as well, right? You don't want to be doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah, yeah. And it gets really, that can be sort of self-defeating if you're a musician or a producer, I think, because you can end up, when you were really excited and you were new, you make 5 things in a row that you really love. And then as the years go on and you keep working with various artists in different genres, at some point you can kind of get jaded on the sounds and get sort of stuck searching. So
Why are you calling me out like this, Justin?
Go ahead.
Why are you calling me out like this?
Well, I'm trying to call myself out, but this is why it's great to remix. That's the whole point, right? It's like, hey,
Yeah.
31st, personally, I love this song, and I especially love playing it live. I've never fully loved, to be honest, the recording of it. I think it's not my best work in general, but the song is awesome, and that's why when you first sent me the first few samples of what you were doing, I was like, oh fuck yeah, like yes, there's still something exciting in there. There's still something cool to be mined. I think the bones of the song are good, and actually, I'm being harsh. The song's fine, but it's awesome now that it's old. It's awesome. There's a new take on it.
Well, the thing is always like something I'm kind of coming to terms with on and off for a while, but very recently is like a good song will outshine a bad recording. Like you listen to like the early Beatles recordings, and people swear by them as if it was like the gospel. But on an objective level, it's like a mono recording in a limited capacity, which was for at the time, it was very what's the word? Like the highest you could do, but it was still like low fidelity compared to today's standards.
Yeah.
But people still swear by them because the songs are still amazing.
Oh yeah. And then definitely going back into the jazz world. I mean, almost everybody's favorite recording is not a good recording. And a lot of people sort of, that's okay recording is the really good one, right? I mean, I personally love Steely Dan, but for other people who really like engineering, it's like, yeah, fine. It's a tough sell to a lot of people, right? They're like, oh, it's just
Right,
so
yeah.
smooth, right? Whereas you ask them, what's your favorite song ever? And then you're getting into that, going back as far as Beatles, but even before that to like, oh, I really love this Nina Simone record. And you're like, oh wow.
And like even before that, in early 30s and 40s country
Yeah.
music as well, there's
Oh,
some of
yeah.
that stuff in there, like with Muscle Souls and all of those country artists doing that sound as well.
Oh yeah, country being a great example, right? Because the people, if you want to see a country guy's eyes roll back into his head, name some recording that was made for like Alan Lomax as part of like a folk encyclopedia, right? Like, oh yeah, I recorded this. I hid the microphone in my jacket, recorded, and there were tumbleweeds going by, and I
Or
recorded.
just mention any old ballad song.
Who's that?
You don't know Hazel Atkins? Oh my god, his stuff's fucking weird.
Is he a cannibal?
Oh my god, but his stuff was just like creepy country stuff. He has a song about
Oh man.
Eating too many hot dogs and cutting off your head and putting it on his
Okay,
wall.
do you guys listen to any podcast at all?
I listen to a few, but no, I'm not. All right, let me be honest with you. I do the first 5 to 10 minutes of lots of podcasts.
Okay, well, I've been geeking out about Tyler Mahan Coe, who is the son of David Allen Coe.
Oh wow.
He does this podcast called Cocaine and Rhinestones. And
Okay.
it's like the history of 20th century country music. And the stories he has on there is insane. And I've now that you bring up all this music stuff, I can geek out with you guys for like an hour if I could.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have to check it out. I love the idea of a country music podcast that is also a little bit dangerous, right?
And it is, and he does it all
Yeah.
independently, so nobody can really come at him. Like that's the only way he can keep this podcast going, because there are some stories in there that if he didn't do this independently, a lot of people could hate him really quick.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I look forward to hearing the first 5 minutes of.
Well, one final question for you three. What's next for all of you after this single? What's next in your repertoire? What do you have coming out?
There are 3 more singles coming out after this that are remixes by Ghost Stories. The next one coming out will be Planet Scorpio. I believe we're looking to release that during the Scorpio season. We're looking at November 11th. You heard it here first. Next, we are going to release, I don't know if we're going to release Beg For Me or Yes, Cherry Daddy next. I have to decide which one's going to come next. But then I think we're going to release all of them on a little thing, and then we're going to call that EP Beat the Evidence. Because they're beats.
Not Eat the Elephant.
No, God, oh my God. Stop. Yeah, we have that coming out. We have a song. The only reason why the Vision video song hasn't come out yet is because we want to do a music video. So, and Vision video is touring right now, and we need time for it to come up and record the video with us. We want it to be really atmospheric and creepy and beautiful. And the song I have coming out with Marika Bresseliers, that will be my first ever animated music video. So we're going to be cartoons for that. We're going to crowdfund for that because we have Mr. Anthony Kona taking the lead in the animation department for that. And that's going to be really, really fucking cool. So we have a lot of things coming up, and Jay and I right now today, we've been working on starting album number 2, writing our first song together for that. And there's a lot of things happening for Miss Cherry Delight. I'm looking to do some more live shows. I'd love to do some also solo shows, just the 2 of us as well, just rocking out. And then have like big concert shows with the full band. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to getting the fuck out there again and terrorizing audiences. I mean, when we do the 31st, it's usually the finale. I throw trick-or-treat candy into the audience. And then at the end, during the build, I take the jack-o'-lantern and I pour blood all over myself. Venue depending, the blood will either go on me with or without clothes. And you know, this is my costume bit. And the whole point of this song, it's not just simply about celebrating Halloween every day. It really is like the idea, if you've been ever walking down the street and if someone has ever driven by and said, "It's not Halloween," like this song is for anyone who's ever been, you know, picked on in a way just for being their goddamn selves, just for feeling good about themselves, just for like maybe making a fashion statement or something, or just feeling, you know, like they want to express themselves in any way, whether it be like your hair or your makeup or wearing a cool jacket or something, and having someone say it's not Halloween. Like, fuck you, yes it is, all of the time. And that's how I celebrate Halloween. It's just total self-expression of however I want to have my costume, like me, even just without my clothes on, like this is my costume, who I am, my personality is my costume, and I am always dressed to kill. You know, so we're gonna fucking dance about it, you know what I mean?
Well, thank you all for joining me so much today. It's been really fun, and congratulations, and we look forward to what you 3 do next.